the rest of the meeting here so that I can post it as a YouTube video later. That way, if anybody misses anything, they can come back to it later. So where we stand right now, obviously, if you haven't been paying attention to the news or watching DeWine's little 2 o'clock wine with DeWine things, but he kind of was letting us know that we are going through a spike in COVID-19. And if you watched yesterday, he definitely was talking about Montgomery County and Hamilton County being the 2 hot spots of Ohio. Butler County is kind of creeping up the list too. So our whole area of our school district is kind of the epicenter of where this spike is occurring. Now, we, of course, can go through a million different reasons as to why that's happening. But the reality is that it is surrounding us, and it's going to cause some issues. The reason I wanted to have this meeting is I realize we have seniors, and seniors, you're putting a lot of emphasis on, man, I really want to have a senior season. I want to have a senior memory. I'm trying to be as nice as I possibly can on this. You have got to kind of approach this season as if it's not going to happen. Okay. I know you don't want to hear that, but the reality is that if we continue to see a spike, and as you've probably noticed, the governor, as well as lieutenant governor, and everybody else has been talking about, we may not even get back into the school building. They want to get back into the school building for educational purposes, obviously. But if they're kind of going back and forth and hemming and hawing about whether or not we're going to actually get in the building for school, I do not see how it's even possible we're going to have a fall sports season. Okay. So the reason I'm saying that is I'd much rather put the bar really low on expectations so that everything that we get is a bonus. Okay. So please, let's just start from there. That our expectation is that they're going to shut us down and you're not going to have a season. Okay. I'm not going to be like the football and soccer coaches that are like, yep, let's get ready for week 1. I'm telling you right now, we're going to treat this as anything we get out of this is a bonus. Okay. And I know that's not what you want to hear, but I think that's the better way mentally to approach this is let's hope for the best. Okay. But as Mel Brooks is famous for writing, hope for the best, expect the worst. Okay. Because it's so much, I mean, that's kind of, and Ficker and I were talking the other day, as I wrote on there, the Cincinnati Flying Pig has been canceled. The Boston Marathon's been canceled. New York City Marathon's been canceled. And all 3 of those events made it very clear the reason they couldn't do it is because of the starting line atmosphere where everybody's kind of on top of each other. And then the shoot at the end where everybody's breathing heavily, they're sweating, and they're all crammed in together. Okay. I don't see how it's possible that we can have events like our cross-country meets and avoid those circumstances. They've talked about a million different scenarios. I've been on conference calls with the OHSAA. They're still trying to figure out how they can possibly run these meets with that, kind of taking those scenarios out. Do they make A, B, C, and D races where everybody's spaced out at the starting line? But the issue then is you have to have like a half-mile long shoot at the end, and think of how ridiculous it's going to be that, Michelle and Aaron are racing to the finish line, and then at the finish line through the shoot, there are people saying, now keep social distance of 6 feet. Okay, like trying to separate the 2 of you. Like, all right, Aaron won, so Aaron's first. Then Michelle, you got to wait there and pant at the finish line until she can stagger 6 feet away from you. It's kind of nuts what they're getting, what the expectations are, but that's the kind of stuff they're having to solve. And that's the sport aspect of it. I don't know if you caught this from our superintendent the other day, but one of the major issues we're having is a bus can only take 1 per seat. Okay. That means 24 bodies can be on a bus. Now for our sport, that's fine. But think football. How many buses are they going to have to take to a Friday night lights? Just driving over to Ross is going to cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars, possibly thousands, just on transportation alone. Okay. Just because of that mandate. And that's for sports. So the economic reality is the other aspect. How are they going to afford these sports if the expectation is one per seat? Okay. So I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here, but I think it's much better for me to kind of present that even with the OHSAA guidelines, even with the expectations from Governor DeWine, we may have to shut down fall sports. Okay. It may just be an economic reality. Okay. And anybody who works for the district knows that we are on very thin ice when it comes to economics at this point because of the cuts. And luckily, the district was able to pretty much avoid most of those cuts. But quite honestly, the easiest cut that we can make and then still be solvent is getting rid of extracurriculars. Okay. And if COVID is preventing extracurriculars from even going forward, that's going to be a cost saving move going forward. So again, I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here, but there are going to be economic and medical realities moving forward that we're going to have to solve before we ever get to kind of doing our sport here. Okay. And that's, I mean, let's be honest, folks, if we can't have a gate for a Friday night football game because we can't have people in the stands, if we can't have a gate for soccer, if we can't have gates for basketball during the winter season, then our athletic department is missing out on a major source of income, and we are a non-revenue sport. Okay. We don't bring anything in. We only take. Okay. So I'm working with Mr. Licata right now to try and kind of make our expenditures as realistic as possible. And quite honestly, I'm willing to do that because, and I'll get to that when we talk about our actual meets here. But bottom line is our season's going to look a little different. Okay. Across the board, it's going to look very, very different. And I'm prefacing up front with the rules are definitely going to change for how we run a meet. The fiscal realities may even prevent us from having a meet. I mean, there are a lot of things that are going into this, and we're trying to solve them as best we can moving forward. Okay. That being said, you can throw out your previous schedules. Okay. Those schedules that I gave you many moons ago when we actually met, those schedules are now obsolete. They will not. Yeah, that one that Aaron just kind of pulled out. Yeah, that one is no longer going to be applicable for a number of reasons. One, our conditioning and practice times are going to change. Two, some of the meets that are listed there aren't even occurring. They're just, the schools have said they're not doing anything. Okay. So, and then some meets have actually changed their venue and time entirely. So that is useless at this point. It's just paper to be recycled. Okay. I'll do the best I can, kind of keeping you in the loop as we move forward. The only meet that has said we are moving forward come hell or high water is Centerville. But as much as Centerville, it's nice that they're really pushing for this. They have issues of their own. To give you an idea of where we stand, we are in what is known as phase 2 of reopening. Okay. Phase 1 is we can have practice, but there can be no one-on-one. So for us, that doesn't matter too much because it's not like you're guarding anybody. It's not like you're blocking or tackling anybody. So it doesn't really matter to cross country. The only thing that would matter is you wouldn't be able to run with somebody else. In phase 2, you can. All right. And I'll explain that when we talk about conditioning here in a second. Phase 3 would be we can actually have a team style run, not a huge, like everybody on top of each other run, but you could at least run kind of in the same grouping. We're not in phase 3 yet. We've been permanently frozen in phase 2 by Governor DeWine. Okay. He's overruled the Ohio High School Athletic Association. We can only be in phase 2. So when we start on July the 7th, it's going to be in phase 2 rules. Okay. If and when we move to phase 3, I'll talk to you at the conditioning practice to let you know what that means. Now, the reason I bring that up is if we have somebody identified as COVID, as infected with COVID, anywhere in our athletic department, we all go back to phase 1. Okay. The reason I bring up Centerville is this week they went back to phase 1. 3 of their football players all had COVID. Okay. Now they're part of that Montgomery County / Dayton area spike. So, take it for what it is, but they already went back to phase one. If they have to continually be in phase one, there's no way their sports program is going to be able to do anything. So their cross-country coach is hammering away that we're going to do Saturday Night Lights, but there's no guarantees on that. Okay. So I, again, want to make sure you understand that schedule is going to be very, very tentative moving forward. Like I said, with conditioning, we're going to start on July 7th. In talking with Ficker, the easiest thing for us to do to kind of avoid this is when we go into conditioning mode, we're going to try and do 2 times a week for right now. Okay. It's not that we don't want to see you guys, but we felt like it was better to kind of gauge your progress throughout July by just meeting twice per week instead of 4 to limit your kind of, your kind of gathering, if you will. All right. We are not going to meet at the school. That's the one thing I said to Licata we're not going to do. We're not going to meet at the school. We're going to meet at Triple Creek Park. And the reason is the way they're doing it right now, in case you don't know, is you are walking in and you have to get your forehead scanned for fever by Caitlin. Okay. So they have these lines of athletes going to football, soccer, volleyball, you name it, all getting their temperature checked. I asked for a personal thermometer. I just asked for them to give me a thermometer so Ficker and I can just take your temperature at Triple Creek Park. Okay? That way you're not in the building with everybody else. We are isolated. We do our own thing. Now, Licata even has said we might avoid that phase issue because we're not walking in the building. If one of the football players ends up getting COVID, we would still be able to have practice because we're away. We haven't been in contact. We haven't been in the building. So I wanted it to be where if we had a problem, it was self-contained. And if they had a problem, it's their problem and not ours. Okay. So that's kind of the decision why Ficker and I are saying we're going to meet at Triple Creek, and we're only going to do it twice a week because we're trying to make sure that we can make it to August. That's kind of the whole point. Now, what I'm going to then ask is that on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and over the weekends, you kind of run your own thing. Now, I'm going to give you a packet. I'm going to work on a packet over the next couple of days of kind of not only expectations, but suggestions on what you should be doing in getting ready for the season. But that's kind of where we're going, at least during the conditioning, okay? This also allows us to kind of gradually get final forms done, and I'll talk about that here in a second, as well as allowing you all to kind of gauge your own progress. And a lot of you struggled coming 4 days a week, even when we did have it last July and previous Julys. So this allows you to kind of say, all right, well, I'm going to do 2 times a week. I've got to work the rest of the week. So it allows you a little bit of flexibility. And that way we can kind of gear up for the season. Okay. Conditioning, and this is still going along with what we had before. All athletes and coaches are required to wear masks. So Ficker and I have to wear masks when we are at practice. So do you. So when you walk in from the parking lot, you have to wear a mask. You have to maintain social distance from your teammates. I know it seems silly that, hey, then we're going to go out and run, but you have to maintain and you have to keep that mask on when we're in team activities. We are not going to have a team huddle. I'm not going to say, hey, bring it in. Okay. Luckily, I've been blessed with a voice that can speak to an entire park. Okay. So I'm built for this. We're fine. Josh can be out in center field like he normally is mentally, and he can still hear me at Triple Creek Park. Okay. So, and not that he's listening anyway. There are no exceptions to that rule. You have to wear a mask to and from the parking lot and during team activities. That's across the board in phase 2. So even the football players, same deal. Soccer players, they're all doing the same thing. They have to. Okay. Athletes will wear masks during warm-ups, stretching, and be required to maintain social distance. Even when you're done with practice and you're like lying there moaning and whining and panting and whatever else, you still got to maintain social distance. Okay. If you got to collapse onto something, find a pole, find a tree, no find a friend, and certainly not find a Ficker. Okay. You can't lean on us, unfortunately. Okay. And then water bottles, you're required to bring your own. I cannot give you a water bottle that's communal. Okay. So do realize right now, Ficker and I would love to make sure that you're hydrated, but you're going to have to do that yourself. You're going to have to bring your own water bottles. You're going to have to bring your own whatever. Okay. So whether I expect everybody to bring in their own personal water bottle, and Josh will bring in his applesauce as usual. That being said, you can't share anything. Okay. So if Josh brings in applesauce and Eric goes, "Oh man, that looks amazing," Josh literally cannot give him that. Okay. If they do that, believe it or not, I have to say, well, both of you are now in isolation. You can't come to practice for a while. Okay. So please do me a favor. Don't touch somebody else's stuff. Okay. Don't touch their phones. Don't touch their water bottles. Don't touch any other things. Okay. So again, just make sure you understand you cannot share anything. Okay. And then you cannot walk up to Ficker and me and say, "Hey, this hurts. Can you stretch it out?" We can't touch you. We can't be anywhere close to you. Okay. So I know some of you are like, "Man, can you stretch out my calves?" You're going to have to stretch it out on your own. You're on your own to stretch. Okay. If you say, "Hey, I need to," and we bought the rollers last year. "Hey, V, do you have the roller?" "No, I can't. I can't give you anything that you're going to use and then hand off to somebody else." Okay. You have to bring your own. And if anybody says, "Hey, Josh, can I use your roller?" No, you cannot. Okay. So again, don't touch anything anybody else touches. That's kind of the general rule there. If you have an injury, I have to send you to Caitlin, even if it's something small, because I cannot touch you in any way. Okay. I can't, and not even that, I can't even be 6 feet, less than 6 feet from you. I have to be away from you, and Ficker's the same way. Okay. Any questions about conditioning? Yes, you can still watch the Ducks, Aaron.
What 2 days are you doing conditioning?
Tuesdays and Thursdays during July.
Tuesdays and Thursdays. Gotcha.
Just Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're going to go 8 a.m. and we'll meet at Triple Creek.
Okay. Yeah. I have a question.
Go ahead.
So some of you guys know this, but we have COVID in our house. At what point are the kids able to join conditioning? Like, how long do we have to be COVID free?
Okay. Basically what it comes down to is when that person is cleared by the physician, the person who was infected. The other people in the house still have to quarantine for 14 days.
Okay. So 14 days.
I'm sorry?
So 14 days from when they're cleared?
Yes.
Okay.
So when the doctor signs off and says this person is now okay, it's COVID free, then everybody else in the house has to take 14 days. And then they can then participate.
Okay.
And then, quite honestly, you would need to kind of let the athletic department know this person, our family has been cleared on this day, so that they then know that. So, for example, let's say it's July 1st today. By July 15th, they would then mark down that would be the return to practice for anybody in your family.
Okay.
Unless, of course, the doctor says, "Well, we've quarantined that one person. They've been successfully quarantined in the house," and they test that person before return.
Okay.
And quite honestly, I think most of you would agree, and I love the fact that Bru's here because she can back me up scientifically on this one. It is a little ridiculous that we're taking temperatures because it really doesn't prove anything.
I absolutely think it's crazy because I'll tell you, all of you, I have to have a surgery in 2 weeks, and they told me I have to have a COVID test 6 days prior, and I'm like, why 6 days prior? What if I get it on day 4? I'm just like floored that's what they told me. So I was like, this is dumb. So I could literally have it when you open me up and 4 days later, but whatever.
Wish you the best.
I mean, this whole thing's been a little rough.
Yeah.
And we're all kind of flying by the seat of our pants about what to do and how to get it done. Let's be honest, at this point, just make the best call for you and your athletes. If you don't feel comfortable having them come to practice, you're not going to get any grief from me. If you say, "Hey, look, we're just not comfortable right now in July sending our students to practice," I get it. You're not going to get any argument from me. My wife is mad that I'm even doing this. She wanted me to resign and just say I'm done, like, because she just, she's immune compromised. So do realize it's not that I don't like you guys, but if you come running up to me, I'm going to be very mad. Like, you need to stay away from me, because quite honestly, there are going to be times I may not even leave the car. And it's not because I'm lazy. Normally that would be the case, but literally that's like, I've promised the wife that I'm going to sit in the car. So I get it. I understand that some of you're living with elderly relatives, or it's the summer and you're visiting a lot of elderly relatives right now, and you want to kind of make sure that you're not bringing something like COVID back to those people. You're not going to get an argument from me. If you go on vacation and you're like, hey, we're going to quarantine for a week after vacation too, that's fine too. You're not getting any argument from me, even during August or whatever else. So do realize this is very loose. And that's why, quite honestly, Ficker and I said, hey, we're only doing twice a week, because we didn't want to put a lot of pressure on, hey, we're going to meet every day. Like, this one's just going to be show up when you want, show up when you can. And quite honestly, if you're not feeling very well, stay home. Don't say, oh, he'll be real upset if you don't. No, like, stay home. If you wake up and you're just not feeling very well, you got a headache, or your stomach hurts, or, you feel like you have a fever, keep sleeping. That's fine. Make the right call for you and your family. The official start to the season, as it stands right now, is August 3rd. I would love to have a schedule and say, here's what we're doing. We're still not 100% sure what we're doing with school. I mean, the school board, of course, has given us a calendar and said, here's what we're planning on doing, but that can change at the drop of a hat. We're not sure how many kids are going to go all virtual. We're not sure how many kids are coming back to the building. We've got, obviously, some students that are going to Butler Tech programs, so they're kind of up in the air about what their plan is moving forward and meshing with the district. So again, we're kind of, in my mind, as I've said from the start, these are student athletes. We got to worry about the school before we ever worry about the athletics. So I know some of you like to plan ahead. Realize right now in August, when we start, it's going to be very loose. I mean, we're going to be very kind of week to week almost about like when we're going to try and practice and how we're going to try and practice. We will still try and go early in the morning, because Lord knows I don't want them running at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when it's 90 degrees and 100% humidity. So we're still trying to go early in the morning when that starts. And we're not sure if we're going to have to go to the school in August. I would prefer to be off campus for as long as we possibly can. I nothing against the other kids, but I don't feel like going in. It's bad enough smelling the football team. I don't need to be around them in a big group. So as long as we can kind of stay away from everybody, I'm going to try and push for that. That being said, Final Forms is up and running. I need everybody to fill out Final Forms. So if you have not done so, you need to log into your account, fill out all the forms, have the student athletes sign what they need to sign, the parents sign what they need to sign. The only thing you do not have to do right now is the physical. The physical you can wait on, because that's not until we officially start. And quite honestly, I might push that official start date for us back a couple of weeks in August and just do conditioning for the first couple of weeks until we're 100% sure what we're doing in the fall. Because I don't want to, and that, for that matter, the pay to participate, I'm going to push that date as far as I possibly can, because I don't need you guys signing off on checks before we're 100% sure we're going to have a season. Okay, so hopefully, if anybody had any questions about that, I'll let you know what the date is for that coming up. But Final Forms, please make sure you do that. Everything but the physical needs to be done pretty much ASAP. Their name at least needs to be in Final Forms so that I can register their temperatures, or Ficker can register their temperatures as they come into practice. So as you come into practice, regardless of when or where it is, one of us will be taking their temperature and entering them into Final Forms. I'll probably make Ficker do that because he's braver than I am. And the other thing is physicals. We got an email from Caitlin, our trainer. They are offering physicals on Saturday, July 18th, starting at 8 a.m. at UC Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, their Cheviot Road location. So It's listed there at the very bottom of the form. It has all the contact information. You would need to schedule an appointment with her via email or by calling the training room. She's in the training room roughly 8 a.m. till about 3 p.m. every day. So if you wanted to call and schedule that appointment, but basically they're not charging for the physicals. They'll be free for this year. All you got to do is schedule an appointment. Now, for those of you saying, well, what if we don't have a season? These are good all year long. So you might as well schedule one, go in, get your physical. Because let's say they cancel fall, but they're like, hey, winter and spring, we can still have it. Let's hope, hey, they've got some sort of treatment or a vaccine or something by, December or January, then track season's up and running, or tennis for, the boys or whatever else. I mean, it still does benefit you to get your physical. So please read through that and get your physicals done. So those can go into final forms as well before the season starts. The meet schedule. The first official meet in Ohio is the OHSA preseason meet on August 15th. We have never participated in it because it's up in Columbus. And it's kind of for the teams that were in regionals or states the year before. The only reason I'm paying attention to this year is that they have promised that they are going to virtually broadcast it to the coaches so that we can watch how they are running a meet. So that way we can see what to expect, so we can explain to our athletes, hey, this is what the expectation is walking up to the starting line, what the expectation is at the finish line, because they're kind of going to model it for everybody. So while we're not participating in it, I will be relaying how they've done it and how they expect, because they expect anybody running a meet to run it the exact same way, along with the OHSAA guidelines. Our meet schedule will be delayed. We are not going to go to Monroe. Monroe's not even 100% sure they're going to do their meet this year. We are not going to go to Edgewood. I know that most of you are just bummed by that, and we probably won't go to Lebanon either because it's just too early in the year. We're not going to go to – I don't think Talawanda's doing theirs, and if they do, they're going to bump it back. I personally think mid-September will be the first time we ever venture out to do a meet. Okay, if we get that far, mid-September will be the actual first meet for us. And it's not for lack of wanting to get out there and run. I want to see how these schools are running their meets to make sure that it's safe for our athletes to compete. B, I want to make sure that we are trained and conditioned enough to actually do a meet where we're not hurting the student athletes in other ways. And C, I want to make sure our school can transport us properly, because I don't want it to be a situation where, we're going to drive you up there and then the bus is going to drop you and then we're going to wait around for another bus, because we are, like I said, going to be very limited on how many buses we have, because everybody's going to be traveling at the same time. And if it's 1 to 24, while it may not affect us, transporting a JV football team on a Saturday morning, a JV and varsity soccer team, transporting a volleyball team, they're going to need 5-6 buses per school just to get that done. So I want to make sure that we are 100% ready to transport our team, to participate safely, and to make sure our athletes are well conditioned enough to actually participate without risking injury. Okay, I'll certainly take questions on that and answer that if you want to stay after on the Zoom call to ask questions. But that's really my kind of mentality on this. There will be no trip this year. There's no way we can possibly do that. Okay, and I know that really hurts for the seniors. I know that. But there's no way we could possibly do that. Like I said before, keep your expectations very low. The trip was canceled the moment we all went out for COVID. I mean, as soon as we went on COVID, there's nothing we can do about that. Okay. We will be deficient on the amount of meets that we have this year. The state of Ohio has basically said anybody can participate in their league and their district meets. And I think they lowered the number. It used to be they had to do, I think, 8 meets. Now they're down to like 2 or 3. Because they know most schools are going to kind of dial back how many meets are available to them. So we're not going to have, regardless of how few meets we have, nobody's going to be excluded from the postseason, if you will, the league meet or the district meet. Our goal is to prep for SWAC as always. No other meets really matter to us. And this year, if we get to SWAC and actually have a SWAC meet, we're going to celebrate and have a great time 6 feet apart from each other, of course. Okay. So again, we're going to celebrate social distance style as best we can. Like I said, some meets are canceled already. Some have said we're moving to Saturdays. Some have said, we're going to adjust the times. Xavier's already put out their ridiculous schedule of how many different varsity A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's kind of a mess right now. And to look at finish timing right now and try and make head or tail as to what meets are meeting and when and how is kind of a mess. But as soon as I schedule anything, I'll let you know. But again, I have to say, anything I schedule is to be determined, could be altered, could be changed at the last minute. I could get an email Friday night that, hey, we're not going to have a JV race, or hey, we're not going to have varsity B and C. We're only going to have varsity B. Like there are a lot of things that could change on the fly. So I'm going to ask the parents to be really, really flexible about this. And of course the athletes as well. It's going to be a little tough this year. But again, we really, if we take the mindset that anything we get is bonus, I think it'll be better off for us. But I do have to tell you my apologies in advance for how many times we're going to change things this year. I have to throw in my yearly, hey, join the boosters. If any organization is going to need support this year at Northwest, it's going to be the boosters. The boosters are probably, let's be honest, going to lose out on Friday Night Lights. The boosters are probably going to lose out on a lot of basketball games. They're going to need some creativity from parents. So if parents can join the boosters and go to their Zoom meetings and help them out, that's really going to help out our athletic department to recover from this. Number 7 on the list is college recruiting. I have a lot of seniors this year. If you're planning on running next year, here are a couple of options that I can use and at least kind of throw out there. Number 1, if you are worried about, do I have the times to run in college, we can, even if, and this is, again, I hate to be really kind of downer on this, but let's say we get canceled. Let's say they say we're not having the season this year. We can still have training off to the side when it's safe, and I can get you to the point where we do a virtual 5K, so I have a baseline time to submit to a college, okay? I will work with those collegiate coaches to make sure that they have a good idea of where you're at, so that can help you going to whatever college you're planning on going to, okay? Or at least, trying to work your way into. Other things. I just completed a virtual 5K for the first time in years, okay? It was slow, but, I didn't care. I'm still alive, so yay. The virtual 5Ks that are out there, most of them are for charity, okay? There are virtual 5Ks, virtual 10Ks, all of that, okay? I will give that in the packet that I'm going to give you in conditioning. It will have a sheet that tells you the virtual 5K websites you can go to, register your name, pay whatever to get your little medal and your t-shirt or something like that for participating. But let's say we don't have a season. Instead of putting $100 towards your pay to participate, you can put like 30 or however much into, bottom line is you can put some money into registering for those online events. And that way you can use your phone, you can track your time, you can register a time, and you can submit that to a coach and say, here is my baseline 5K time, okay? Those are cropping up more and more as these runners start realizing that things like the Flying Pig is being canceled, and these organized actual runs are being kind of, canceled. They're putting all of this more online, okay? And I'll give you that information. But that's one of the ways that I think if you're planning on running in college, that you can kind of help with that, what's your time look like type mentality. And of course, during the year, we can always meet down on the track after school, and we can time you in a mile. We can time you in a half mile. And I can work with a coach to talk about, let's be honest, every one of you seniors, I'll run through a wall for you. You're great kids, and it's killing me that this is the way your senior year is looking, but right now I'm going to do everything I possibly can for you. We're going to get creative. We're going to find a way. So if you're planning on running in college, and even if you're not running in college, whatever you need help for college, I've already had one of you say, hey, can you write a letter of recommendation? Send me a brag sheet. Trust me, I have nothing better to do. I'll write a letter of recommendation, and I am an excellent creative writer. I can make Aaron Richter sound phenomenal. It works. I made Allison sound at least competent. Okay. I may not be able to help Josh, but like I said, I'm pretty creative.
Hey, Brad, can I say something about the virtual races?
Go right ahead.
Nice thing about virtual races is you get to make your own course. So you could make a flat as pancake course if you want. So you're not relying on somebody else making the course and putting hills and stuff like that in there. So, and you can choose the time of day too. So you don't have to run it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You can get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do it, or, whatever you're most comfortable with.
All right. So after all that, any questions? Aaron, I see your lips moving, but you're on mute. So either you're singing along to some background music or.
She always has lots of questions. Go ahead. It's mostly about college. Like, I figured I'm not going to run to college, but I'm thinking about going to UC. Though, like, I don't really know, like, when is the best time to apply, because I've been waiting till I got to my senior year, and I don't know if I should apply to other colleges because I can't really go visit them. And then, like, despite the fact that I haven't been in school for like 5 months.
Okay, Aaron, let me just cut you off. Let me explain what you need to be doing right now.
Gone downhill. I got a lot of worries. There's a lot of concerns.
Okay, Aaron, let me just give you a brief. Here's what you need to do before your senior year. Number one, you need to go on virtual tours of colleges. Yes, you need to apply for more than one. Okay, so look around, see what colleges would fit you. Are you a small town, small school type person? Are you more of a bigger community? Do you want a city nearby? Do you want to be out in the middle of nowhere so there's nothing to do but study? You need to figure out what fits best to your mentality. And we can email back and forth, and I can help you through the process. That's the first thing. Two, like I said, virtual tours. They do a pretty darn good job on YouTube of walking you through the campus and showing you what their dorms are like, what their health facilities are like, what their classes are like, what the whole campus looks like. So you need to take some virtual tours, okay? Three, yes, you should apply for UC and just get it out of the way. Just go ahead and do the application, because you can always submit a later ACT, and most of them are not even bothering with ACT scores right now, and they won't even bother with your final transcripts till later, okay? You have a solid enough GPA that UC is probably going to take you, okay? And you'll be fine, okay? You're a good student. It's not going to be hard for us to write you letters of recommendation. You're very, very astute with how this whole process is going to work. You're gonna be fine, okay? So no fears, okay? You're gonna be fine, all right? The reason I'm saying apply to others is, let's say later on in like January, let's say we manage to get this miracle cure or a vaccine comes out or whatever else, and hey, you're now feeling comfortable to branch out and maybe go to these campuses and look around. Then you can make a choice between the ones that you did apply for, okay? And we went to the ones up north. You went to Kent State, you went to Akron, you went to Ashland, you went to Mount Union. You looked at some of these places. If any of them looked decent to you, go ahead and put in an application to them too, okay? Again, your GPA is very solid. Most of these schools are realizing, hey, the AP and the ACT stuff didn't work out very well, so they're kind of waiving it for the year, all right? So apply everywhere that you feel is necessary. If UC is your goal, that's great, but you need to have other backups just in case the UC stuff, because here's the other thing, Aaron, what most students don't think of, Okay, I applied to UC. That's where I wanted to go. Well, what happens if UC doesn't come back with very much scholarship money? You know, what if they say, well, we just don't have any money for you at this time? Meanwhile, you apply to, let's say, Kent State, and they throw a boatload of money at you. Okay. And all of a sudden that becomes cheaper for you to go. Or, for example, and I think Ficker will back me up on this, let's say one of the branch campuses, Miami Hamilton or UC Blue Ash or something like that, throws a lot of money at you to go and just stay at home for a year or something like that. And especially if we're going virtual for, you know, the first year of college, why spend $30,000 on a freshman year that you're just going to be at home anyway, as opposed to just going to UC Blue Ash for the first year? I know it's not ideal and it may not be what you want to do, but maybe that saves you money in the long run. Okay. Because we're still not sure how this is going to all pan out. A lot of these colleges are saying, like Wright State just the other day said, we are coming back in the fall. Well, that's nice, but we're spiking right now. And what happens if the governor says, nope, we're not, no college campuses, and, the schools are shut down. Now you're spending main campus money on something that you could be doing from home anyway through a branch campus. Okay. So your fears are justified, but you got a long way to go before you have to worry about that stuff. Okay. So don't freak out. We haven't even started the school year yet. Okay. But again, if you want to start the process of applying to UC, go right ahead. Now's the time to go ahead and get started.
Do you mind if I comment about the temperature, V?
I'm sorry?
Temperature. Do you mind if I make a comment about the temperature taking from experience?
Go ahead.
Are you forehead thermometer?
Well, we're doing infrared thermometers.
Okay. All right.
They're not the most accurate in the whole wide world. It's still, and I'll reiterate, it's still the best course of action. If you wake up in the morning and your kid's not feeling very well, just keep them home. And kids, I'm saying the same thing. If you roll out of bed and you're like, man, I don't feel 100%, stay home. You're not going to hurt my feelings.
We may also take account when you're outside. Something simple, like I did take the kids for the sports physical already. They had me wait outside in the van. So I was inside for a minute. I went outside. They took my temperature again just to come back inside the doctor's office. And I spiked the fever to 99 from a 97. They said, what happened? I said, I was just outside. So that could happen. We have to take that.
Yeah, these are not 100% accurate. I mean, they're not at all.
So somehow, even if these our kids are outside running, they're going to have higher temperatures. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to do the best we can to make a judgment call.
I'll go with the initial temperature for them before they even start working out.
I mean, quite honestly, the best thing for us all to do is everybody take their temperature before they come to practice. Ficker or I will be.
I have faith in you and Ficker about making the judgment.
That broke up at the end. I have no. Can you type that for me, Aaron?
I didn't. There wasn't anything. My laptop's bad.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. But bottom line is, again, if you take your temperature before you show up to practice, that'll probably help. And then Ficker or I will take your temperature when you get there, and that'll be what we have to enter it into final forms. We have to take a log of people showing up. It's our way of taking attendance, but it's mandated by the athletic department that we have to take everybody's temperature. So that's our excitement for the day. Ficker will scan and scream to me while I'm sitting in the car, and just say, Aaron, 99, Josh, 97, and if any of you are 100, you're going home. So do realize right now, if you got people dropping you off, make sure that you get scanned first before they wheel peel out of the parking lot.
Okay. That's fine.
Well, folks, that's all I have for this evening, and I appreciate you hanging. Again, I don't like to be so depressing, but again, I'm not trying to ruin everything, but I want to make sure, especially the seniors, understand that this may not work out the way we want to, but we're going to try and make the best we possibly can out of it. So if you have concerns, you can hang back. You can email. You can text, call. That's totally fine. But otherwise, have a great evening, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. And athletes, we'll see you on the 7th.
Thank you very much, guys. We appreciate it. Audio